This is episode number 332 of the InnerFight podcast with Kevin Bradford. Welcome to another edition of the InnerFight podcast, brought to you by Smith Street Paleo. Hop over to iTunes, rate and review the podcast, and Smith Street Paleo will definitely send you out a goodie bag. This week, we are talking veganism, the impact of veganism on performance and life. And we are absolutely delighted to be joined by longtime supporter of the show, Kevin Bradford. Let's jump right into today's show. Andre, what about eating trees for breakfast?
Delicious.
Delicious.
Sounds very strange, but
you've been into it for a while.
Not quite.
Not really.
Not quite. Coming from a butcher family, but
well, yeah, that's the thing, and
yeah.
You guys are the epitome. Danish bacon is the best.
Yeah,
apparently
we love that stuff.
This is kind of where we're going to get to, folks. Welcome back to the podcast. We're joined by a guy who actually I was lucky to meet a few weeks ago. He told me that he'd seen a lot of the podcasts, and I just turned around and said, well, let's get you on to speak about something. Kevin Bradford. Kev, you turned around and said, I don't have anything to talk about.
I've got a few things. But,
And then literally 2 minutes later, we got into the fact that you'd been vegan for 18 months, mate.
Yeah, 18 months now.
Unbelievable. Mate, give us a little bit of your background. What do you do generally? What do you do for sport? And who are you? That's the best way to kick it off.
So I work in telecommunications. I'm operations manager for Middle East, North Africa. We mainly support oil and gas clients with their communication systems, so like voice data. I've been working in that for probably going on 10 years now.
Yeah, right. So
over.
you've got an office job. You sit at your
office
desk.
job. Not always been office job, but office for the last 4 or 5 years.
Keep that close to
Yeah.
now.
What have you been doing before that, though?
I was ex-military before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's kind of where my life kicked off when I went in the military.
What part of the military were
I was
you
in Royal Signals, so communications, yeah.
For how long?
4 years.
Wow.
That was the minimum, and I was like, get me out of here.
I love it.
That was it.
So, mate, as sport, what has sport been to you? What is sport to you? How big is it in your life?
So I guess I didn't even realize until I was 21 when I joined the military. I didn't even realize I had any ability whatsoever.
Right.
I just had no clue, and then obviously I was pushed there, and then kind of found myself really and found out what I could do, and I kind of used it as an excuse to get out of a lot of work when I was in the military.
Yeah.
So I got paid. I got paid whatever I did, and they wanted me to run. They wanted me to do these sort of things. So yeah, I just got involved with that
And was it any sport in particular that you got into?
Running.
Yeah,
the one. Yeah,
because
I found that quite easy.
Right now, you've raced for Great Britain at duathlon, which is bike and run. Is that right?
Yeah, that's run, bike, run. Yeah. So I qualified for GB, but I haven't raced for them yet.
What distances do? What distance is that over?
So that was over sprint, and sprint's not where my kind of strength is. It was kind of a test to see whether I could do it. I'm more of an endurance guy, so the longer an event goes, that's kind of...
How long are these events, though, when you say sprint?
This one was 5K, 5K, 20K on a bike, and then 2.5 run.
For most of our clients, and for me, that's not a sprint.
Yeah. But it's full hit, It's a run the 5K as fast as you can run it.
Really?
It's pretty hectic.
And then all in on the bike, and then just hang on the run.
Yeah, it's draft legal format for the international, so you have to go all in on the runs. So if it's kind of like pack racing. If you lose the pack, then you're never going to catch back up. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So through your time in the army, you got quite good at running, I guess, because that's what you did a lot of
it. Yeah.
And when did you start the cycling then, mate?
Cycling was just through running injuries. Right. There was a massive gap where probably when I left the military at 25, I didn't want anything to do with sport or running. I'd had it rammed down my throat for so many years, and I was just kind of I was done with it. I just wanted to just relax, and I just left it, and I probably left it for 6 years until I'd come to Dubai.
Yeah.
And I saw all these cycle tracks and all this stuff, and got back involved with it there.
So how long have you been in Dubai, living in Dubai for then?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
And you saw that's quite a good way of looking at it, isn't it? I saw all these cycle tracks and I sort of wanted to get involved.
Yeah, it's too good to pass up, it's all here. You've got to, it's a chance of a lifetime really, isn't it? If you don't use this stuff, it goes to waste. Yeah.
Talk to us about when you sort of got back into the sport and you started cycling. How were you? Because I mean, what we obviously want to speak about is your movement into vegan eating and how that's affected your performance. I think that's super interesting, and I know you've got a lot of sort of the more geeky side of it, which we love. How were you as a cyclist and as a runner when you took it up again here in Dubai?
So, running come naturally to me. So I can run a pace that, a 5-minute pace is just like jogging for me, and that's not going to win any races doing that sort of pace. So I find it very natural. It's just easy. And then when I was in the military, I kind of recognised, everybody else was struggling at points, and I was just looking around, and I thought, this is, I cheated a lot in the military because you don't get any prizes for coming first, so. Right. You're going to get flogged, so just run within yourself, and so I never kind of pushed out of that back. I did get pushed a lot, but I was within myself a lot of the time. So then I got back into it, and then I guess it was, Strava and GPS watches, because when all my military training was just you start and you finish. There was no measure.
Just by feeling.
There was no measurement of anything. It was you never knew how fast you were running. I never knew what my pace was. I never knew. I just ran balls out everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was just like, and even the courses, they were like, oh, it's a 6-mile course today, like this race. You just never knew it was 6 miles. It was, sometimes they just took a but it felt like 10. Sometimes it was just whatever it was. So yeah.
So mate, you go from not really knowing how long you're going to run to being addicted to the data.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that you could measure this stuff, I was just like intrigued, like straight away. And I've worked in the data and telecoms industry for a while, so I was working with a lot of numbers and stuff, and I just saw it. And I just ran out, got a watch, and I was like, I wonder what I could do, and I saw all these numbers and different things.
So we're talking GPS, heart rate monitor, all this kind of stuff.
I did the heart rate thing for a little while. I was just intrigued, just wearing it around the house or whatever you do, see what the resting heart rate is.
But
no,
I don't. Lowest resting heart rate?
I don't know. I think it's at like 48 at the moment. I remember when I first started, it was.
Dre's checking his 76.
Yeah, that's what blew my mind. And then I saw, Strava was a big one for me, and I know there's a lot of Strava haters, and but
I mean, mate, you say that, but someone like you found massive motivation in it, really, and
for sure.
I think, I'm the same as well. I'm not massively in love with Strava. I think it's really great, but the data that you get from these watches now through Training Peaks, the way that you can analyze it, for me, that's, and I think for anyone who's serious, that's the motivation, isn't it?
It's sure.
That extra second or that extra watt of power on the bike, or
for non-endurance geeks, Strava. Explain.
It's kind of like it's like social media for athletes, but you can kind of like. You can turn. It's hard to describe. Yeah, so you could. So like the cycle path around Al Qudra, you can build in segments, so you can see. So as you ride over virtual segments, which people put in, so if you want to put one from from the bottom of the stick to the top of the stick, you can put one in there, and then everybody who rides over it ever kind of goes in the leaderboard, so you can see like if you're the all-time leader.
Yeah,
and
it's super cool.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, and then you can kind of, it's virtual racing, like against everybody all the time. Yeah. So you start to struggle in a ride, and you're just like, well, I know there's a segment here, I'm just going to give it a bit of a kick. It's great.
So that, like Kev says, that whole cycle track is kind of split into different segments. Yeah. So you can always race each other if we know each other. Yeah. So you could have a look at my segments that I went out and rode this morning, and you're like, mate, you are lazy. Or you can sort of pick off people that you know are a lot better, and you can measure your times.
That's it. It's really competitive.
So it's basically a nightmare for non-competitive people.
Yeah, but I think, and this is almost the point that I wanted to get to, if you're a competitive person who wants to win, you give a shit about the data.
Yeah, for sure.
It's only the people that don't want to win, or that are afraid, or that are not willing to sort of go all in, that my Garmin wasn't working.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
there's a lot of, I'd say a lot of the good cyclists put this persona on that, like, they don't care about Strava, but everybody cares about Strava. Like, I don't know what it is in CrossFit where it's like you lift,
it's
the amount of your lift.
It's your leaderboard, mate. It's how much weight you can lift. It's how fast you can do it.
They all care. They all literally care, and they pretend they don't, but they're all just checking and attacking segments when.
Yeah. So do you actually know? This is quite interesting. And this is sort of my inside line here. Personal reasons taking over, but do you actually know round Al Qudra where a certain segment sort of starts and where it?
There's so many around there. It's I guess the prestigious ones are so we do the loop is a prestigious one. So just trying to get up on that, and then the stick, obviously you get massive tailwinds on the stick, so people really, you can get some ridiculous we've seen down there. And then kind of individual time trials and in a team time trials, so we go out in a group of 4, and I'd say people would like to to be up there with those ones. So they're the ones that I like, I kind of measure myself on. So it's just constant, validation of, is my training going right? Am I hanging with the right people and all this?
So you're running around your flat. You've bought your heart rate monitor. You're running around your flat trying to get your heart rate up. How does that elevate to you now having qualified to race for Great Britain, mate? Because that's quite a big sort of rise to stardom.
Yeah,
really.
It was. I guess it's just the people that you put yourself around, and we're really fortunate here that the community is so small, and we get to everybody knows everybody really, and you get to hang with the guys that have done this before, and Flanders has done it, and all these different people. So I was just kind of it was a natural progression. I tried to not master, but I try and be competent at a single sport before I take another one on. So I did the running thing. I've done a lot of running by feel, like you said, on day, and that definitely helps me because I know how to run, and I don't need heart rate monitors. I don't need all this stuff. I kind of learned for it by feel over years of doing it and just being pushed. And then I moved into cycling, and I wasn't that great, to be honest. I didn't have any strength in my legs whatsoever.
Right.
So that took time. It takes 12 months to build it up, and then I got an indoor trainer that helped me a lot. That's when, and power metrics and stuff like that, and then and I thought, and I got reasonable at that, and I thought, well, let's try and put them together. And some of my friends suggested that I went and tried for the duathlon. Obviously, doing the triathlon is throwing something else in, and I don't think you can just kind of use raw fitness on the swimming just to get you through. I think there's a lot of technique.
Tough,
that's not to say I won't try, but I don't think you can just go in at GB level as a swimmer when you haven't been a swimmer. And a lot of those races are swimming races because they're like the draft league on the bike. So if you don't get out of the water quick enough, the race is gone. Right. Like in 7 minutes or whatever it is, 9 minutes, it's like the race is over if you're not out of the water quickly.
You can't get it, mate. I mean, you've literally done almost what the opposite of the stereotypical Brit moving to Dubai does, in that they go and sort of get on the booze for the first 3 or 4 years.
I did that as well. I did it for probably 18 months. I did that,
but then you've really risen to the top. With that, mate, has come a change in your food. Talk to us a little bit about how you're eating before, and then when you started training, and now this move to being a vegan.
I guess I just didn't. When I started, I just didn't have the awareness of where, we all know where it comes from, but just kind of what's involved with producing food. And I think one of the things that shocked me when I came to Dubai, we're lucky in the UK, or either the marketing's really good, but there's just a wide range of, so for one piece of meat or whatever, you get 10 choices on 10 local farmers or budget or frozen or whatever you want. Here it's kind of one choice, like spinnies, and that's it. There's no premium option. So I wasn't that kind of. I didn't like what I was seeing on the shelves to start with. That didn't change me, and I guess when I started training, I was just protein obsessed, like every athlete is, and I was just like, I need the protein. Everyone tells me I need the protein, and just smashing steaks and burgers, and like the whole
classic.
I was doing all that stuff, and I look at photos of myself now, back from then, and just like my face was inflamed and
Really?
all different things. So I was just doing this stereo, the thing that everybody does.
Yeah.
Just, it's protein shakes because everybody says you need protein shakes and all this stuff. And I just kind of educated myself over the time and just eliminated things really.
But where did the interest come from, though?
So I guess it was my partner at the time, a girl. I think you've met her, Marcus. So Susanna Laukova.
Right.
She was my girlfriend at the time. She's vegan endurance athlete. She's done half Ironman. She's a coach as well and a nutritionist in Dubai.
Oh, wow.
So I got with her, and I don't think there's really a choice. I guess if you're going to be with someone, you have to kind of embrace what they're doing. So she gave me a hell of a look when we were at a brunch when I first met her, and a plate of meat came, and she was just like, "Don't eat that." So I kind of like, well, I better try it. And when I first my first thought of trying it, I was just like, I've got to debunk this because she's not going to let me off unless I prove it's a load of rubbish. And I was doing a lot of cycling at the time, so I thought I'll just, I'll go full vegan, I'll see what happens, and I'll see where my power drops, and I can measure this, and I can, present that to her. And just almost probably in 1 or 2 months, I started to see. It's hard to say like what the results are. A lot of people say, "Oh, you go vegan and this massive transformation happens and your life changes and all these amazing things happen."
Yeah,
that doesn't happen. Like that's not real life, is it? I wasn't eating a lot of meat before, so I was eating it in restaurants, not at home.
Yeah.
I was eating a lot of fish.
Right.
So just the cut fish wasn't that bad. And then, I just started to see weight loss. And it was weight loss. It wasn't weight loss that I wanted. It was weight loss in places that there was pockets of fat on me that I just never thought I'd be able to shift. They would, no matter when I was doing like long distance ultra running, I was in the military, I could never shift these bits on areas on my body. I was just like, okay, that's just how it is, and it just all started to melt away. All this stuff, it must have been, I don't know what it was, the fatty deposits.
Yeah, right.
And then obviously that translated into performance on the bike. I think my training kind of went the right way at the same time as well. So I saw a big gain.
Did you
cycling.
Increase your training though, mate? Was it almost like, okay, I'm giving up the meat, I'm going to become a vegan, and I'm a little bit, I'm all in now on the bike and the running as well. So do you think you're increasing training volume, or did you increase the training volume?
I'd say no, I didn't increase. I'd say maybe I got a little bit smarter in my training, but that's just comes through time, and finding out what works. I've done periods in my life where I've done a lot more training. I was doing a lot of running with the trail runners and stuff, doing a hell of a lot of running. Yeah. And there was fat that I could never shift, and I was doing crazy, a lot of volume there. Right. So I'm doing way less now. I don't do anything more than an hour most of the time, unless it's the weekends. Yeah. Just a decent intensity. So I'd say, I agree, Marcus. Like, you get a lot of people and they increase the volume and then the diet, and then they go, "Oh, look what the diet's done." It's not. It's not. That's not kind of how it happened. Fair enough. It was just things that had never happened to my body before, or functions. Things I just started to feel like everything was working properly. Like, okay, when I go to the bathroom, whatever, like it wasn't a struggle or whatever. It just my body was working, and I was sleeping properly, and everything was just coming naturally, and I just felt I wasn't even looking for anything. Things just kept finding me, and I was just like, that feels good,
Right. Was it a decision because a lot of people go sort of from normality, or whatever we call normality these days, to veganism, but a lot of them go via sort of vegetarianism. So, and obviously the main difference there is that they'll keep dairy products in. So things like, and that's what I see a lot of vegetarians having. So a lot of yogurt, milk, cheeses, and also obviously eggs.
Yeah, that's a big one. the breakfast of choice. Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
So people say, okay, I want to be vegan or vegetarian, and they go that vegetarian route. Why did you choose to ditch all of that?
I don't know. I just wanted to prove her wrong, and I wanted to say I did. I just wanted to prove her wrong. I was like, "This is absolute nonsense. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you reduce?" Like, I remember we went out for some meals, and I got really, really angry, and I was just like, "This is ridiculous. There's nothing on the menu you can have." and I was struggling with it. I really struggled to start with. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
And it's just because I didn't know how to do it, and it wasn't because it was her fault or anybody else's fault. I just didn't know what to do. It's like, it's all the things we're taught and all the ways we cook for 30 years or whatever, and then someone tells you, right, you can't use that ingredient, you can't use that ingredient.
Yeah.
I just felt like there was nothing left, when actually there was everything left. I just couldn't see it. I couldn't see the wood through the trees.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to debunk it, and I wanted to see my power reduce. I wanted to see things happen, and it never happened. Nothing happened, and I just it felt good. Yeah.
So how did you deal with that, mate? Because I think if you said to a lot of people, you said to me and Andre right now, no more eggs, no more bacon.
Bacon's the big one, man.
So how do you go from, you said there are lots of choices, you don't see them. I think that's really interesting. Talk us through that a little bit, mate. Like, because I think in Europe or other places, and this might be the wrong thing, but I think there probably are a few more choices for vegetarians or vegans, whereas Dubai, I see less choices. So how did you find solutions?
I think you're right in what you said, but I struggle more when I go back to Europe.
Really?
I really do. Yeah,
really?
I really do. I went to a restaurant last night, and there was 3 things on the menu that I could have, and I was like, okay, there's 3, and then I just mentioned to the wait. I don't like to make a fuss. I think if you're one of these people who goes in and kicks off and makes a fuss, you can kind of get anything you want here in Dubai. And I don't. I just kind of accept what's on there.
Point fingers.
Yeah. You don't do that, do you?
No. What's wrong with you? No.
Yeah.
If they don't have it, I ask for it. If they still don't have it, they don't have it.
And the waitress, she kind of cottoned on, and she was like, "So you're vegetarian?" I was like, "Well, I don't really eat much meat, and I don't eat fish. I don't say vegan because they just freak out."
Yeah.
And she brought a whole new menu. She was like, "Oh, I've got a vegetarian menu," and she brought there was like 10 things on it. I was just like, wow. And it's just because it's not in front of you. So it's actually, I think it's really easy here. It's not really, really easy, but it's a lot easier. People will bend over backwards here if you're service-wise. So I think Europe, I've been into restaurants in the UK, and there's just nothing. Literally nothing. Nothing.
Really?
Not one thing to eat.
I mean, what kind of restaurants? Burger restaurants, or?
I went to Prezzo.
Okay.
That's quite a big chain in the UK. Pasta and pizza. Like, how can you get that one? I thought that's just nailed on. There's going to be something. There wasn't.
So what do you do in those situations, mate?
I guess you order a lot of side dishes. That's my bailout. My bailouts are. That doesn't happen. To be honest with you, when I first started, it happened a lot.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what to do and I didn't know what to eat. I'd say these days probably 1 in 20 times I go to a restaurant I struggle. So I guess side dishes are a bailout. I eat quite simply, so I'll always be able to get potatoes. I'll always be able to get rice. I'll always be able to get vegetables. So I can just do that, and everyone's like, you're spoiling it. You're not having a good meal and stuff. But I feel absolutely content
with it.
With that. Yeah, and I actually get really excited about rice and vegetables.
Yeah.
Like at the moment that my tastes have changed. And that's what someone presents me that, I'm just like, that's a win, It's just power food for the bike.
I think a big struggle for many when you present this vegan diet to them is that they all ask, but where do you get all the protein from?
That's the one, man. That's the biggest question. Is where
take us through it.
The protein, it's just everywhere, and that was my thing. Where are we going to get the protein from? I'm going to have to supplement. These supplements are really expensive. I can't use whey, and all this stuff. And then I just dumped it all into Chronometer and to FitnessPal, and the numbers came green every time. And I was just like, okay, there's protein in vegetables. I didn't realize how it's not just the protein, is it? Well, they're so nutrient dense and protein dense. It's impossible to be protein deficient. I don't think that's even that's not even a thing, is it? You can't be protein deficient unless you're.
It's super hard, and this is actually a conversation I had with someone the other day, and I just pulled it up here. In 100 grams of cashew nuts, you have 18 grams of protein.
Yeah,
the body can actually safely or efficiently digest around 15 to just over 20 grams of protein per sitting. So if we're having 25, 30 grams like are in all these shakes, actually all we're doing is we're then going on to excrete it. So we're putting extra pressure on our liver and on our kidneys to get it out. So you know, if you think you should have 20 grams of protein after your workout, then you can have a handful of cashew nuts is 100 grams. 100 grams is not actually that big of cashew nuts. So I agree with you, Kev. I think there's protein. I think protein is a made-up excuse. I think there are more challenges out there than where do you get your protein from.
I think fiber's the big one. Like, fiber's not even mentioned. It's so important, you know, for bodily function and all this sort of stuff. And we've just forgotten how to eat, haven't we? We've forgotten, like, all the other macronutrients, all of the minerals, and all this other cool stuff that's in vegetables. And I started to look at, you know, I was obviously subscribed to a lot of these vegan things now, so it all comes up in the feed when I'm watching YouTube. Just the power of, like, vegetables and power of broccoli and what it can do for your body and how it can just, like, heal and fight off cancers and fight off these diseases. And that's why I get so excited when I get just rice and vegetables presented to me. I'm just like, this is just so, you know, it's just power food. People are always looking for this superfood. I'm just like, these vegetables are superfoods.
They are, aren't they?
And all you have to do is just go to the grocery store, steam them,
and it's cheaper as well.
I know, and just smash them down you as many as you want. And then you're just going to perform. You're going to lose weight. You're going to get faster. You're going to get fitter. You're going to have more energy. Like all these things. And the protein is just a huge. Just people have learned how to market it and how to make a lot of money off it, and that's why we're in this mess.
Mate. When we look at, obviously, we're involved in. I'm quite heavily involved in paleo as far as it's a business of mine, but on a paleo side, there's not. I think people's perception of what paleo is, that we just eat meat, is completely wrong. That's not what the Paleolithics did. The diet was largely plant-based. However, something that's different from what we generally see vegans doing is that grains are not so involved in the diet. How do you feel about grains? You obviously said it there that you eat rice. You have grains. So how do you feel your body reacts on those? Have you tried to eliminate them? Is it possible on a vegan diet not to have grains?
I'd say it'd be pretty hard on a vegan diet to not have grains, just because everything that it's the opposite. You know, a vegan diet, you have to eat more, and you struggle to get. I think when you first convert to veganism, I think it's hard to eat enough. And a lot of people, they come out, they try it, they feel like crap because they don't eat enough, they've got no energy, the blood sugars drop, and then they just make an excuse and they go back. I think that's what happens. So I think without grains and potatoes, it'd be hard to get enough.
Potatoes are actually paleo, so that's not too
all this stuff, you know, all these staples that I think it'd be hard.
So talk us through then what your diet looks like generally.
Mine's it's not that different. You know, obviously you asked me to come on here, and I was like, oh, I better have a look what you've got on your menu and stuff. It's not that different. It's pretty much what you have, but just with the meat element removed. Right. So the breakfast that you do is the like, is it porridge? Yeah. I have that every single day.
Right. But you'd use oats, right?
I use oats. Yeah, I use oats, and then just fruit. I use a lot of frozen fruit here, which I don't want to do, but I'd rather use live fruit. But it's just so expensive here.
Yeah.
Berries are just outrageous. So I eat a lot of them. I just put like half a packet straight on the thing.
Really?
Just straight in, and then I have that every single day. And then for breakfast, and then I have to eat like five times a day. Fruit for in between breakfast and lunch. Usually rice and vegetables. A lot of vegetables for lunch, as many as I can get hold of.
Really?
What's your preferred source of vegetables?
I think broccoli is my favorite. I love that.
How come?
It's just I don't know. It's just nutrient dense, and
you just steam it.
Yeah, steam it most of the time, or bake it. Just put it on a piece of foil, just chuck it in. Just eat it like that. Yeah, it's hard to munch through a lot of broccoli. You know, it's difficult. It's there's a massively high protein content in it, but it's just hard to eat that much broccoli. You just feel full.
Yeah.
But you haven't. You know, there's not a lot of calories gone in there really. So you feel full, and then you just crash after. So that's, and I dals and things like that. Obviously, they got a lot of oil in them. I try. So my diet's kind of high carb, low fat, and that supports what I do. I think perfectly on the bike. I have energy to burn. You've come out with me. I have energy to burn. Like I can go all day until my muscles just fail. Like I never run out of carbohydrate in my system.
Do you think that's a bit unique though, mate? Because obviously we deal with a lot of people whose primary goal is to lose weight, and yes, eating bananas and berries and all this stuff is way better than eating Mars bars, but at the same time, the sugar from that is still causing people some issues.
I've seen that's one I looked at. I was just like big one I eat is mangoes. Like I'll buy these by 3-4 kilograms, and I'll just end up just firing through the whole thing. And a lot of it is the stone and the outside. So I'm not eating 4 kilograms of mango, but I eat a lot of mangoes and I eat a lot of tropical fruit. Right. And I crave it like heavily a lot. Right. So, and then I kind of had a look at how the body kind of responds to that sugar intake. And I've seen studies and white papers where people have put like 75 grams of cane sugar in, and then they've dumped in another 75 grams of fruit sugar. And the fruit sugar actually helps neutralize the insulin spike to brings the body back in check. I think the fruit sugars are just the body just accepts them in a different way. I'm not a nutritionist. I don't know how this works in the science of it. But
for what you're doing, and I absolutely agree, mate. You're training an hour at a time. You're in a zone where you're burning carbohydrate. That carbohydrate source is the fruit. But do you not think that potentially what we can see is people moving to a plant-based diet, having those cravings, using a lot more fruit, and then they just end up in a similar situation? Or
I don't know. I just think the body, anything that's whole food and that's come is made naturally, I think the body just accepts it and just burns it up. And if it's processed, it just rejects it. And sugar's not the main cause of diabetes. It's the high fat intake, the block in the arteries, so that the body can't absorb the sugar into the muscles. So sugar, causes diabetes if you like, but it's not what it's not the.
There's other things going on.
Yeah, there's other things going on first. So I think as long as you eat natural foods, I think that's what we're probably, like you say, that's what we're eating in the Paleolithic era and all this stuff. So
absolutely,
it just seems to work, and it's just I just feel like when these foods are going through me, just feel like you eat something wrong, it just sits on you, or you just feel like garbage after, or you feel terrible. Like the more I eat, natural fruits, vegetables, I just feel
good.
Like, it's hard to. I can't comprehend that, and I can't say that's like this is going to happen, but it just feels. It feels right.
Feels right.
Maybe it's wrong, but it feels right,
mate. A few weeks ago, you put me in touch with a documentary, What the Health, which has also recently been released on Netflix, causing some, I guess you could say, some pretty interesting feedback from people. Talk to us a little bit about that, mate, because obviously as a vegan, seeing stuff like that come out, half of you must be sort of rubbing your hands together.
I'll tell you what, the hardest thing for me, and I don't even like the word vegan. I don't like. No. I get attacked a lot.
Do you?
As soon as people know that I'm vegan, I get a lot of hate. I get a lot. Yeah, mainly from overweight endurance athletes who think they know better. Yeah, and they don't.
Yeah,
they're overweight
don't.
And they're
Exactly.
slow.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know why I'm just being real. It's just real talk.
No, mate, absolutely.
It's like I don't know. It's like it's like religion almost. When somebody's trying to take something from you or say something that you've been doing for so many years is not true, then you're going to go on an offensive, and then they do.
Right.
So when I see something like that, I'm not the best at conveying the vegan message. I wouldn't say I'm like going to go out doing all these animal rights activism, all this nonsense. So when I see something like that, I'm just like, I can just give that to someone, and they're gonna. And they can just digest it, watch it 2 to 4 times, and there's so much information packed into that by legit doctors. These are not just guys off the street just waving signs around. These are legit, medical professionals who have been researching this stuff and have a vested interest in trying to get the truth out there. What food industry is and what's going on.
I think it's as we were sort of saying before we started the show. I think it's a very good documentary that everyone should watch, but take. I think with all these documentaries, there's always a certain motive that we're trying to get people to, and that's the thing. It made me laugh in sort of the first 10 or 15 minutes, and as Americans, we're eating a lot of this, and it's like, I think anyone who knows anything about food knows that those packaged meats that don't even look like meat in certain areas of the supermarket is not what you should be eating. It's like taking people to the chocolate section and go, right, guys, pick your healthiest.
That's
like
it,
you know, anyone who knows anything, you say to people, is soft drinks good for you? Like, people don't generally think they are. Sadly, I think a lot of kids now, through the marketing that we see, think things like Kentucky Fried Chicken, because of what they've done with Messi. They think that that's what Messi's eating. Yeah. But it's probably
Pepsi or whatever else is on.
And Pepsi. So yeah, I think it's. I also think it's an interesting.
It's a good thing. I'm glad you watched it, Marcus. You'll be honest. I actually bought 5 copies of that, and I paid me. It cost me, whatever it was, $100 just to give to people, just to try and. I see my friends, and they're training so hard, and they're putting all this time in, and then they just go and eat so badly.
Yeah.
And I'm not calling them out. I don't call them out when we go for breakfast, But I just know that they could be so much better if they just ate the right amount. If they had some carbohydrate in the system before they started exercise for a start, like come on, like give yourself a chance before you even start this workout.
How do you get through that, mate? Because you're not a bloke that sort of, I can't see you sort of preaching to people, but you've got such a nice demeanour about it that I've tried this, I was inquisitive as well, I've seen my performance go up, and it's almost like you're almost begging people, just try it. It's almost like when we get people in here, just try and come 3 times a week. Your life's going to change,
because you know what that will do for them. Because and I know that and I don't do it to Joe Public. I do it to my friends, and my friends they all joke and laugh.
It starts with your friends.
It does,
right?
yeah. The people, and it's because I care about them the most.
Exactly.
And that's I just say, just watch this. Just give me 9. You'll learn something, and it'll maybe change your perspective. So I just try with my friends. And I've had a lot of success recently. I had a lot of hate to start with, and just stop preaching at me. I'm just like, please, I'm trying to give you some advice. Like, I'm not because I want to be right, just because I think that you can be a better person. You can be a better human, and you can and you can just improve in life in general, and maybe avoid some of these diseases and all these things. My family's had a fair share. It's close to my heart, all this stuff. So I don't want to be going down that road either, and I don't want to see my friends doing that sort of stuff either.
That's very, very good of you, mate. You said before that you don't like to overly tell people that you're a vegan and make fuss about it. Is it? It's almost like when you're a yogi. You're almost like, right, I'm now a yogi. I'm over here. Is it the same with veganism and stuff?
I think veganism. I don't think it's kind of trendy in some. I'd say, probably if you're in London and you're in college now, it's probably a trendy thing to do.
Right.
But in the Middle East, it's not a cool thing. Like how we met, Ben just called me out on it straight away. Like, I wasn't even talking about this stuff. Like, he was just shouting it across the car park. Like, this is what I get, like, all the time. So I just don't like the term vegan. I like the term, like, reducitarian. That's kind of just try and reduce. just try and reduce. It's just something I saw on the internet once. So just trying to reduce your intake of milk, or trying to reduce your intake of meat, and try and replace it with whole food, plant-based. And then, things will probably get a lot better for you. What's your
limit? So I was listening to, you'll love this, Dre. I was listening to this one podcast actually when I was cycling in South Africa. The No Meat Athlete, it's called, and it really pissed me off because I'd sort of put my earphones in, we're cycling, so I didn't want to stop to change it, and literally these 2 idiots were having a debate about, would you get in an Uber because it's got leather seats in it? Where's your line, mate?
See, this is the thing. Like, veganism isn't just a diet. It's everything. It's and I get a lot of people who kind of accept the diet, and then they just say, yeah, but you've got an iPhone, so you're causing damage with that. Because some kid is sitting on the floor building it in China or whatever, or you're getting in an Uber. Like, these are excuses for people. Like, to, I can't. I can't turn around every Uber and just order another one. You know, what good is that going to do for me? What I can do is not buy a leather seated car when I go when I go to the dealership. That's what I can do. I'm not. Look, there's different levels. I'd say I'm a pretty, you know, as veganism goes, I'd say I'm pretty relaxed. Sensible. Yeah. I don't think you're going to win any friends by doing that. No. I think you're just going to, you know, piss people off.
Yeah.
You're going to nobody's going to listen to your message. I think the only way to get through to people is just lead by example. Just keep getting better all the time. Keep hitting PRs on Strava, winning races, like all this stuff, and then eventually people will come and they will say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
A lot of the people they say, what are you doing? I tell them and they just run the other direction because it's not what they want to hear. But that's the only way. So, you know, I'm not going to turn around you, but I'm going to get in it. But it's and then like I say, veganism it's more than just food. It's all your like shampoos and leathers and am I going to go through my wardrobe and throw all the leather out? No, I'm going to use it till and try not to buy any more leather.
Right.
That's not always possible.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest, it's not. But I'll just try my best. That's all I can do. That's the type of message I try and put out there.
I think that's a great message.
Yeah, I think that's a really good.
That's
message.
the way to do it. Whether it's CrossFit or veganism or religion or try your best.
I think that's the same thing. Like I think when people come in here and sort of want to try CrossFit, we're like, try it. You might like it. If you don't like it, then we try and find another solution for you. And if you do like it, then stay and sort of, I think I definitely think, mate, the way that you put it forward and almost the way that you've got into it, just to be open to try things is probably. But you've also said something that's very true, is that people think the way that they're doing stuff is the right way, but then they're sat there massively overweight. And
I don't know, like, you work with people all the time, Marcus, so I don't really have a lot of experience with people like these haters that come at me. You know, I stop the conversation, I walk away,
right, and
then that's the end of the encounter for me. But you work with these people, so what is it? What is it? There's some psychology there somewhere, and I think about this a lot. Like, what is it going to take to try and open people's mind? Like, I don't even know. I guess I'd make a lot of money if I knew the answer to that question. Not that it's about making money.
I don't know if I have the answer, but I have an opinion on it. I think people generally just don't know what they want to do. Like, you know, I've realized for a while that I was eating a lot of protein, and I made an effort to stop it. And I moved from meat-based protein to fish, and I since the start of this year I've eaten a shit ton of fish. These guys will tell you 8 o'clock in the morning it stinks of fish in here.
Stinks.
and absolutely stinks. And then sort of when I finished regionals at the start of May, I said, right, I'm going to see if I can go without the fish now because it stinks. And I mean, that was the reason. And you know, I think in the lead up to that riding that we've speaking about before on Jebel Hafit last weekend, I'd eaten fish once in the 3 weeks before that. So my only animal-based protein in the 3 weeks before that was fish, and I don't really eat dairy anyway.
I guess what I was trying to do what I haven't mentioned, I was just trying to see if it's possible to compete at a high level.
Yes.
And look, it's clearly possible to look stacked and you're not eating a lot of fish and meat.
Absolutely.
So, you know, that's I do sometimes just think, you know, shall I just go? That people look at me sometimes because I'm obviously a runner and I've got that build, and the cyclists are just like, but then I'm going to look like you. So I think people putting that message out there that you don't eat all these, you know, animal products constantly. It's not. You can get it in other ways. If you want to use that, then use it. But if you know, you can get it in other ways.
I definitely think there's going to be a switch in the future. I mean, once the big guys are going to start going vegan and showing that it's possible, I definitely think that a lot of people will be convinced.
It has to. There's no other way. We either crash and burn as a planet, or we switch. And it's the same as the big tobacco. Everyone said that wouldn't change. Now you're an idiot if you know. There's a lot of smoking in this region. This is a cultural thing, and people want to do that. But if you go to the UK and you're smoking outside in the rain, when you go to the pub, everyone's like, "What are you doing?" You know. And it's going to be the same. I think there's going to be entire vegetarian menus in restaurants, and
absolutely.
people are going to be like, "Why are you ordering that meat?" You know, I think that's going to. Is that 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years? It's going to happen. It's going to happen in my lifetime.
That's very cool.
And there's going to be so much more choice for me, but I just have to ride it out till I get
it comes.
That. Yeah.
Mate, 2 more questions. I'll start with one, and Andre will finish it up with one that we always use. My question to you is: can you ever see yourself eating meat or animals again, or dairy in any situation, or eggs?
I have eaten meat, like I'll own up, and the only times I've done it is when we've ordered it at a restaurant, and I did it once about 8 months ago. And we ordered, it was like a 240 dirham dish or something, and it sat there, and it was 2 little lamb chops. I felt so bad because my friend ordered it, nobody was eating it, and I just tried it. Because it was going in the bin. So if it's going in the bin, I will. So I will try. I'm not saying like putting one piece of meat in my mouth is going to kill me.
No,
like,
right.
That's not vegan, what I've just mentioned, and that everyone will call me out for it and say that's ridiculous. But if it's going in the bin, like I'm not going to just throw something that's perfectly good in the bin.
Cool.
Will I? If I had a big steak and someone was like, I definitely wouldn't eat that. No, but you know, if I'm at a restaurant and my friend was like, go on. Sometimes, but eggs, absolutely not. Although I'd probably eat a lot of eggs because you can't avoid them because they're in absolutely everything. They're in pasta. They just seem to throw it in everything. I'd say I'm still consuming dairy even though I don't want to. So it's all over the place.
Interesting.
You can't avoid it.
We always finish our podcast off with this one question, and it's basically, if you have one piece of advice that you've been given or learned, what would that be? Whether it's veganism or in general in life, or
I'd just say the comfort zone's a big one, but that message has been said 1,000 times before. So I'd just say, getting out of that comfort zone is just one of the most important things in life. Nothing happens to you till you really get out of that. I'd just say, educate yourself on what we're eating. You know, we all think we understand what we're eating, and I'd say 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 people have absolutely no clue what is in the food that they're eating, which is, and they're educated, you know, highly intelligent people. So just educate yourself, man, because it's going to be big trouble down the road if we don't. You know, like there's no coincidence that everybody's getting cancer every 5 minutes. There's no coincidence that everyone's got heart disease, diabetes. You know, just spend an hour a day or half an hour a day or
a little bit of
whatever
time.
It is, just 5 minutes a day, just log on and just have a look. It's all the information's there to be, you know, to make yourself a better person, and don't be part of a system that's not good.
Kev, inspirational on many levels, mate, especially you've sort of gone out there on your own and learned, and just what I think the way that you've just wrapped up really does summarize your thing, and you're very cool about it, and your performance is obviously, you know, is super good. So congratulations, mate, and maybe a year's time, because I think like you said, mate, I think things are going to move quite fast in this space. I mean, if you'd have told me at the end of last year that sort of 6-7 months into this year I would have had 2 steaks in the whole year, I'd have told you to get out of town. You know,
I can't believe you even asked me to come on. I think that's a testament to what you're doing over here. You know, that you'll have an opposing view or whatever, and you'll let us on. I think that's great.
I think it's super good. So, mate, we want to wish you the best of luck, and we'll stay in touch, and hopefully in a year we'll speak more about eating plants together.
Yeah, that's it. That'll be good. Thanks, cool. Marcus.
Cheers,
thanks,
guys. Thanks a lot, folks, for tuning into this episode of the InnerFight podcast, and a big shout out to Kev. That was some really, really cool stuff, and we wish him all the best in his up and coming race for Team GB in the duathlon. Of course, if you want to get in touch with us, winning at innerfight.com. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. Until next time, take care. 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 Take care.